I really like dumbbells, but some of the best gains of my life were made without even using them. And there's a reason for this. So let me start by asking you a very simple question. Why do we use dumbbells and what are the benefits? Well, many exercises increase the range of motion, provide a more natural movement pattern given the unilateral factor, adds a stabilization element, and of course, yields a tremendous stimulus to fatigue ratio. All these things are great, but they're not special, they're not exclusive. The real benefit, the underlying cause for you making all kinds of gains when introducing dumbbells is the fact that you're preventing overuse and overriding the biological law of accommodation. Basically, what I've been telling you for all these years, it's exercise variety. That is the definitive feature that binds everything together. In other words, dumbbells are simply tools in the toolbox. Very effective ones and feasible for most lifters, but not magical. And there's no such thing as magical exercises. And that's why there are many home gym owners who are killing it without even using dumbbells. And I think many would argue that barbells are generally superior. So what happens when we take the barbell purist, if you will, and you throw in extra variety through different means that I'm now going to discuss? You have a killer program and gains are pretty much guaranteed because the overall goal is the same. Now, one thing that I really like, which if you have access to, please use them, are specialty barbells. Behind me, you'll see a safety squat bar and a Swiss bar. This changes everything. And when we're talking about presses specifically, one of the main things you can do with dumbbell pressing is bringing your arms in like this, neutral grip. Or the Swiss bar, I now have the features of a barbell, but the elbow angle of a neutral dumbbell press. And it's hard to stabilize that thing as well. In fact, the Swiss bar, for me and a lot of lifters, is significantly weaker than my flat bench. My Swiss bar pause bench is weaker than my close grip pause bench from the Olympic. This is not an over-exaggeration. Every single one of my variations are harder. So I'm getting more out of less weight. It has a great stimulus to fatigue ratio as well. It saves the shoulders because of the neutral grip, allows you to stay extremely tight. Then there's all kinds of different grip widths to experiment as well. This is just one barbell, man. I'm not even talking about the exercise itself. If you want to go from flat bench to floor press, it's still that flat angle. Or doing pause versus touch and go, or simply adding in bands and chains or pins. Because that's something that people overlook completely. They forget that, yeah, it's still the classic exercise. It's still a bench press. But the strength curve is modified. When you add 60 pounds of chains, it's no longer the same movement. For one, there's an instability factor. So again, you're mimicking the effects from dumbbells, but it gets heavier at different parts of the lift. It's a lot harder at the lockout. And it might be 40 pounds less than your actual raw bench. And that's for one chain variation. And what if you're adding in band and chain? Actually, what about bands by themselves? Totally different exercises. I can do double micro mini bands, double minis, double monsters, double lights. All the things that I've been showing you for years in my training videos, and especially the training videos at home, because I'm not doing dumbbell exercises as my secondary movements, unless it's a little fluff accessory, right? Because I do have dumbbells, but it's not for the main work, is what I'm trying to say. There's other ways to be creative, and barbells can certainly do that for you, especially when you add in all these extra tools that I'm talking about. Then there's the calisthenics world, which offers another element completely. Adding in some weighted dips, some ring work, some bar work. Once you realize that it's not about the variation itself, but the fact that you're actually including variations, it opens up your mind and allows you to be creative. You start to detach yourself from all these movements, and instead you're just picking what's addressing your current needs, specifically your weak points in many cases, but I digress. Dumbbells, although I love them, are not necessary. That's why a lot of home gym owners are killing it, man, with a freaking barbell. And then on a final note, there's an aspect that not a lot of lifters talk about, but needs to be addressed, which is the fact that many dumbbells at commercial gyms are not heavy enough. So you might be limited to 70 to 100 pounds, which might be fantastic for many exercises, but for some of the foundational lifts, might not cut it. Unless you're doing it for high volume or incorporating some bodybuilding time and attention strategies. But if that's not your goal, if you didn't want to do that, say grabbing the 100 pounders and doing really slow reps, pausing at the bottom and slowly coming back up, or just doing reps of 15 to 20s on a flat dumbbell bench, if that's not what you wanted, instead, a simple 5x10 was more preferred, with say the 120s, which don't exist in your gym, well, you're shortchanging your gains in that way in terms of what you're specifically desiring here. So some people can very well be limited. Now, if that's not you, congratulations. And then, of course, there's the dumbbells themselves when they do go beyond a certain threshold. The heavier pairs that I tend to see are more old school in nature. And when you grab those fuckers, they are going to rattle in your hands like this, which increases the risk of getting injured. So there's a safety concern. And these dumbbells get really bulky at that point. So are you getting the same benefits? Are you actually getting the range of motion that you want when the dumbbell's bulkier than it's supposed to be, right? And then, of course, there's the benches that you might be doing these exercises on. Are they extremely narrow? Are they cheap? Are they inexpensive? Are they garbage? If that's the case, you might be restricted to floor dumbbell pressing and shoulder pressing. Incline, flat, decline might be out of the equation. A lot of exercises you might not be able to do. Again, it depends on the body part here. So I'm not trying to speak in black and white terms. But your exercise selection within the dumbbell movements can be limited. And in that case, you might be better off dropping the weights on those dumbbells and even adding in bands and chains. But if you're already adding in bands and chains, it's not the dumbbells which was the definitive feature. It was the accommodating resistance. It was the variety that you provided. And that can all be done on a barbell. I can do that with a Swiss bar, a regular bench, whatever I feel like doing. Hell, I could use the bands independently. I can use the chains independently. Many prefer these as unilateral alternatives or even a cable replacement because that certainly gets the job done. Actually, there's certain dumbbell exercises that don't have the best strength curve. Some people prefer cable curls for that reason. So all I'm trying to do in this video is give you some additional options. I'm not bashing on dumbbells. I love them very much. I just want you to get a little bit more creative and recognize that as long as you're being generally specific to whatever you're trying to improve upon, using some decent weights, and you're emphasizing the fundamentals. You're doing a lot of heavy compound movements. You're addressing your weaknesses. You're getting the right accessories in, right? You're doing things the way you're supposed to. The lack of dumbbell training is not going to kill your gains because you've been convinced that they're absolutely mandatory, that a program has to have both. Like if you're going to be training your chest, you got to have a flat barbell bench immediately after flat dumbbell bench, or incline barbell, incline dumbbell. Like there's always this idea that you got to pair them together when that's simply untrue. There's other ways to get these benefits, which I highlighted in this video. Some in vague terms, but again, I'm just trying to open up your mind. So that's it, guys. I hope this video was helpful. Give me your feedback down below. Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying today? Let me know, and I'll talk to you all next time.